Joule, unit of energy in the SI system. 1 joule is 1 kilogram meter square per second square, which is also 0.2390 calories. J acid dyes, the simple monoazo dyes obtained from J acid. Jalapin, a glycosidic resin. Gelutong, a rubber-like material obtained from the tree Deira costularia. Jones reductor, a tube having zinc amalgam used to reduce solution prior to estimation. Joule, the SI unit of energy and work, is equal to the work done in moving the point of application of force of 1 Newton by 1 meter in the direction of force. 1 J is equal to 1 Nm. K capture, absorption of a K shell electron by a proton as it is converted to a neutron. Ketone, compound in which a carbonyl group is bound to 2 alkyl or 2 aryl groups or to 1 alkyl and 1 aryl group. Kinetic energy, energy that matter possesses by virtue of its motion. Kinetic molecular theory, a theory that attempts to explain the microscopic observations on gases in microscopic or molecular terms. Lanthanides, elements 58 to 71 after lanthanum. Lanthanide contraction, a decrease in the radii of the elements following the lanthanides compared to what would be expected if there were no F transition metals. Law of combining volumes, that is Gay-Lussac's law. At constant temperature and pressure, the volumes of reacting gases and any gaseous products can be expressed as ratio of small whole numbers. Law of conservation of energy. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It may be changed from one form to another. Law of conservation of matter. There is no detectable change in the quantity of matter during an ordinary chemical reaction. Law of conservation of matter and energy. The total amount of matter and energy available in the universe is fixed. Law of definite proportions, that is, law of constant composition. Different samples of a pure compound always contains the same elements in the same proportion by mass. Law of partial pressures, that is, Dalton's law. The total pressure exerted by a mixture of gases is the sum of the partial pressures of the individual gases. Lead storage battery, secondary voltaic cell used in most automobiles. Leclanche cell, a common type of dry cell. Le Chatelier's principle states that a system at equilibrium or striving to attain equilibrium responds in such a way as to counteract any stress placed upon it. If a stress, that is change of conditions, is applied to a system at equilibrium, the system shifts in the direction that reduces stress. Leveling effect, effect by which all acids stronger than the acid that is characteristic of the solvent react with the solvent to produce that acid. Similar statement applies to bases also. The strongest acid or base that can exist in a given solvent is the acid or base characteristic of the solvent. Levorotatory refers to an optically active substance that rotates the plane of plane polarized light counterclockwise, also called LEVO. Lewis acid, any species that can accept a share in an electron pair. Lewis base, any species that can make available a share in an electron pair. Lewis dot formula, that is electron dot formula, representation of a molecule, ion or formula unit by showing atomic symbols and only outer shell electrons. Ligand, a Lewis base in a coordination compound. Limiting reactant, substance that stoichiometrically limits the amount of product or products that can be formed. Linear accelerator, a device used for accelerating charged particles along a straight line path. Line spectrum, an atomic emission or absorption spectrum. Linkage isomers, isomers in which a particular ligand bonds to a metal ion through different donor atoms. Liquid aerosol, colloidal suspension of liquid in gas. London forces, very weak and very short range attractive forces between short lived temporary or induced dipoles, also called dispersion forces. Lone pair, pair of electrons residing on one atom and not shared by other atoms, that is, unshared pair. Magnetic quantum number MC, quantum mechanical solution to a wave equation that designates the particular orbital within a given set S, P, D, F in which an electron resides. Manometer, a two-armed barometer. Mass, a measure of the amount of matter in an object. Mass is usually measured in grams or kilograms. Mass action expression. For a reversible reaction, AA plus BB gives CC plus DD, the product of the concentration of the products, that is species on the right, each raised to the power that corresponds to its coefficient in the balanced chemical equation, divided by the product of the concentrations of the reactants, that is species on the left, each raised to the power that corresponds to its coefficient in the balanced chemical equation. Mass deficiency, the amount of matter that would be converted into energy if an atom was formed from constituent particles. Mass number, the sum of the number of protons and neutrons in an atom, that is, an integer. Mass spectrometer, an instrument that measures the charge to mass ratio of charged particles. Matter, anything that has mass and occupies space. Mechanism, the sequence of steps by which reactants are converted into products. Melting point, the temperature at which liquid and solid coexist in equilibrium, also the freezing point. Meniscus, the shape assumed by the surface of a liquid in a cylindrical container. Metal, an element below and to the left of the stepwise division, that is metalloids, in the upright corner of the periodic table. About 80% of the known elements are metals. Metallic bonding, bonding within metals due to the electrical attraction of positively charged metal ions for mobile electrons that belong to the crystal as a whole. Metallic conduction, conduction of electrical current through a metal or along a metallic surface. Metalloids, elements with properties intermediate between metals and nonmetals, that is, boron, aluminium, silicon, germanium, arsenic, antimony, tellurium, polonium, and astatine. Metallurgy refers to the overall processes by which metals are extracted from ores. Metathesis reactions, reactions in which two compounds react to form two new compounds with no changes in oxidation number. Reaction in which the ions of two compounds exchange partners. Method of initial rates, method of determining the rate law expression by carrying out a reaction with different initial concentrations and analyzing the resultant changes in initial rates. Miscibility, the ability of one liquid to mix with another liquid. Mixture, a sample of matter composed of two or more substances, each of which retains its identity and properties. Moderator, a substance such as hydrogen, deuterium, oxygen, or paraffin capable of slowing fast neutrons upon collision. Molality, concentration expressed as number of moles of solute per kilogram of a solvent. Molarity, number of moles of solute per liter of a solution. Molar solubility, number of moles of a solute that dissolves to produce a liter of saturated solution. Molecular equation, equation for a chemical reaction in which all formulas are written as if all substances existed as molecules, only complete formulas are used. Molecular formula, formula that indicates the actual number of atoms present in a molecule of a molecular substance. Molecular geometry, the arrangement of atoms, not lone pairs of electrons, around a central atom of a molecule or a polyatomic ion. Molecular orbital, an orbit resulting from overlap and mixing of atomic orbitals on different atoms. An MO belongs to the molecule as a whole. Molecular orbital theory, a theory of chemical bonding based upon the postulated existence of molecular orbitals. Molecular weight, the mass of one molecule of a non-ionic substance in atomic mass units. Molecule, the smallest particle of an element or a compound capable of a stable independent existence. Mole fraction, the number of moles of a component of a mixture divided by the total number of moles in the mixture. Monoprotic acid, acid that can form only one hydronium ion per molecule, may be strong or weak. Acid that contains one ionizable hydrogen atom per formula unit. Mother nuclide, nuclide that undergoes nuclear decay.